Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in, Joe Caccera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that are following us live on Facebook. We appreciate that very much. We want to continue to grow the audience as much as we can and get this information and this educational material out to as many people as we can on a regular basis. So we will continue to live feed on Facebook, which is really picking up, and we're gaining a lot of momentum there. However, it is a podcast. So we do the show sometimes solo. I do it most of the time. I have guests. It just depends what's going on. And it is a podcast. So please be sure to download the podcast. Where can you get that? Many different places. You can go to iTunes and just type in Real Estate Radio Live. You get it there. Stitcher, Google+, any place online really. Just type in Real Estate Radio Live and you'll be able to get the podcast. Or you can just go to our website, RERL-1570.com. That's RERL-1570.com. Most of you know, if you've been following the show for almost 8 years, live radio and podcasting, is that the focus has always been education information. I'll continue to passionately get as many great guests as I can, information, and pass this on to you, the consumer, to help educate and inform you, to help you, in essence, make wiser decisions in and around your real estate. Regardless, and it could be real estate is a big topic around, all the different aspects of real estate, let's say. I mean, the typical ones that we think of normally are buying, selling, financing, right? And that's the majority of what we think about. But there's so much more to real estate. There's the construction end of it. There's the new construction. And there's the architecture of it. And there's the tax implications of getting a mortgage. And what are the tax deductions? And how does that change? There's financial aspects of it. Do you save for a home? How do you save for a home? What about a down payment? How do you come up with a down payment? Can you get gifts for a down payment? What about just a culture around lending or home buying and selling in general? Are we doing a good enough job educating the consumer on how to buy homes? Are we doing a good job educating people on first-time home buyers? I mean, a lot of people talk about the millennials, they're not that concerned with spending the money and taking on debt to buy a home. Why is that? Is it a generational thing, or is it maybe that we're not doing a very good job educating people? So our job here at Real Estate Radio Live is to educate people, provide you with information and education to help you make wise decisions when you go about any of those to do with real estate, and we'll continue to do that. Just a quick summary of typically the schedule of the show. We do Monday through Thursdays now, and Mondays we typically do the live feed at 11 o'clock. Don't worry so much about this if you're downloading on podcast. You could obviously listen to it at your convenience when you'd like. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, we like to keep it right around 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That way we could try to give the listenership in terms of more so the people viewing live on Facebook, try to keep that as consistent as we can. But download the podcast when you get a chance. The topic today is embracing changing markets instead of fearing them. So embrace the changing markets instead of fearing them. So this is specific to real estate. You've probably heard a lot of people in the financial world talk about embracing the stock market instead of fearing it. I want to talk specifically about embracing the changing real estate markets instead of fearing them. I'm sensing right now in a marketplace in general, because I study this every day and I interview people and I read articles. Every single day I probably spend 2 to 3 hours educating myself on the real estate lending industry in preparation for doing these podcasts and really just providing information back to the consumers via my podcast. So I spend a lot of time researching it. And so a lot of what I'm sensing right now is fear, and fear in a lot of different ways. Anytime a market changes, there is a normal kind of a natural behavior is to be fearful of it. And I'll give you an example. The last 3 or 4 years we've had this, for the most part, and especially specific to the Bay Area, we've had this huge run-up on an extreme seller's market. It's been a really strong seller's market for about 3 or 4 years now. And so people got used to that. So people became comfortable with a trend. So when you become comfortable with a trend, it's like anything else. It becomes more comfortable. You think, okay, well, it's always like this, and it's probably always going to be like this, and I'm just going to ride it out, and nothing's really going to change. And I know common sense, in theory, you'd think, well, that's really not true, but seriously, this is what happens to the human dynamics, the human psyche, when we get into a market trend like we were in a seller's market, for example. All of us, or a lot of us, start to think that it's always going to be like this. And even though conceptually, intellectually, we know that's not the case, it's not always going to go up every single day. Anything, whether it be the stock market or real estate, or anything, it just doesn't happen. There's going to be adjustments, there's going to be downturns. We all know that. But we get used to it, and we get into this behavior and this pattern where we think that that's going to take place. So if you could imagine, and as I'm talking about this, as you're listening, just try to picture yourself. How do you feel right now if you're in or out the real estate market, or you're thinking about buying or selling? Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Is there any difference? Do you feel different? Because most people do. So my theory is the reason why a lot of people fear instead of embrace changing markets is because of the uncertainty. They don't know. That's normal. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is a little bit about why you should try to embrace them instead of fear them. So first we have to understand why people fear them. And without going into major detail, I think as a quick summary, that's really why we as consumers fear things, because we get in a certain pattern and we have a behavior and we have a feeling, a sense of what's going on, and we're comfortable. We get comfortable with that. Just like we live in a house for several years, or we're in a relationship for several years, we get very comfortable, and it becomes comfortable. So we don't want to disrupt that comfort. And the same thing in markets. We get comfortable in markets. So a lot of people the last several years were comfortable with this seller's market. Well, now all of a sudden it's changed. It has changed. It has become more of a buyer's market. Now, is it an extreme buyer's market? No, it's still a great time to sell your home. You just have to be more patient, and you have to understand that your home may not sell for 10 or 15% more than you're asking. That market is gone for now. It might come back, but it's gone for now. So you have to be more realistic as a seller. And as a buyer, you've heard me say this the last several months, and I can't stress it enough. If you are a buyer or you're thinking about buying, get out there and buy now. For all the reasons I'm going to discuss, and all the reasons I've discussed in the last couple of months, why now is just a great time to buy. So this is, in general, why most of us fear. Because when we get a change, what happens? I mean, think about this yourself as you're listening to this podcast. What happens when you're used to a certain routine and all of a sudden something changes? You stop, you think, you let it resonate possibly. People think about it. And then for some people, it concerns them. So some people will go into the mode of, you know what, I'm going to pull back and I'm not going to do anything right now because that market just changed and it's fearing me. And I'm concerned, I'm fearful of this market, and I'm concerned that since the market changed, something bad could happen. See, automatically, you see where your mind goes, most of our minds, and I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but these are the things that happen. You see where it automatically goes? Most of us will think, oh my gosh, something's changed. This is probably a bad thing. I know most of us think that way without really intellectually looking at it, unemotionally, looking at historical data. That's what we all should do instead of react emotionally. Look at the data, look at the information, and what does it tell us? What does it tell us? What kind of trends are here? That's how we should be embracing the market. So I just want to take you through this. And again, the fear is pretty normal. We all have it. We all sense it. We all feel it. We all go through it. But try to talk yourself through this. Again, if you're a person right now that's apprehensive and you're not sure, you're fearful, and I hear this a lot too. I not only read it, but I hear it a lot from people. Joe, I'm just, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to sit on the sidelines because I don't know where this market's going. Or, and you know what, interest rates are going up. And you know what, there's been a big run up in appreciation, and the housing market could come down, crashing down. We could lose 20 or 30% in value. And you know what, there's geopolitical stuff going on, and there's a midterm election here this month. So we could look for all kinds of reasons why things could change the market. But think about that. For the most part, these things are going on all the time. Yeah, The midterms don't happen every day. That's, every couple of years, and big elections are every 4 years with the presidency. And there's a lot of major things, I understand. But there's been so much negativity in the marketplace recently. I just felt the need, the sense to share some feedback with you of someone that studied this market for over 20 years and have seen the ups and downs and the ins and outs. Try not to fear these. Instead, embrace these markets. One of the other reasons I want to talk about embracing is because, quite frankly, these are great opportunities to make decisions. And you know why? Because most people sit on the sidelines. I mean, do some research. If you do some research on where a lot of wealth is made in the stock market and real estate and a lot of different things, guess where the wealth is made? The wealth is not made because the stock market's at an all-time high. Now, the results and the net benefit are because the stock market is high right now. You know where the wealth was made in the stock market and the real estate market? When the people bought when things were down and low and fearful. I could tell you that this is what most of the successful real estate investors, people that have been in the market for years, the Wall Street, investing, and real estate, use it as examples. Most of them will tell you this. They'll say, Joe, I didn't make my money because the market's at an all-time high right now. I made my money because I bought when the market was down. I bought when the market was low. I bought when most people were fearful. That's what most of these people will explain to you if you get the details from them. See, most of us see someone selling a stock at, $500 a share and all the money they made on it. And, for an example, they bought it at $30 a share. And they're thinking, oh, my gosh, how does that happen? Well, you know how that happens? They do their research. Typically, they'll unemotionally make an investment because they think there's potential on the upside, and they have patience, and they see what happens over the next several years. Same thing in the real estate market. It's the same thing in the real estate market. I know people that own 2 or 3 properties. I know people that own 15 properties. I know people that own 50 properties. I know people that own hundreds of properties. And I could tell you, for overall, discussing business and real estate with all these people that I've done business with, and it's hundreds and hundreds over the last several years. And I've done over 1,200 of these interviews. Matter of fact, it's over 1,500 now that I think about it. Most of the people that have done well in investments will tell you it's because when they bought, not when they sold, it was when they bought. Now, when they sell, if they sell when the market's up, of course, they're going to make a good premium because they bought low. But you're not going to hear anybody bragging about buying a house or buying a market at the peak and then turning around and losing money or making very little because they bought it at the peak and they weren't patient enough to wait for the next market. So, try not to be fearful. Try to embrace these markets instead. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back and, again, talk a little bit more about the changing market and why we should embrace it instead of fear it. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. If you're following us live on Facebook on the feed, stick with us. We're just going to take a real quick 1-minute break, and we'll be right back with you.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Getting ready to buy or sell a home in 30, 60, or 90 days? Check out BundleSelect.com to find out how you could save 20% or more on your entire transaction, real estate, lending, and title. With BundleSelect.com, technology and a personal concierge are at your service to save you time and money. BundleSelect's hand-picked team of experts will compete for your business so you'll save thousands of dollars by bundling real estate, lending, and title services. BundleSelect.com gives you all the control, including using your own realtor. I'm Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and I have been on the radio educating consumers for years. I'm here to tell you BundleSelect.com is the best way to save money on real estate. By bundling services, you could save tens of thousands of dollars. This savings model could save you money on your move, lower your interest rate, or cover your closing costs. Visit BundleSelect.com. That's BundleSelect.com.
The estimated minimum savings are based on a comparison with the national average. Individual results may vary, and the estimated savings are not guaranteed. Bundle Select Inc. is a licensed real estate broker. California Bureau of Real Estate Broker license number 004666902.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that are following us live on Facebook, and thank you if you're downloading this podcast for the first time. I appreciate it very much. Thank you if you're downloading the podcast for the 10th time, the 1000th time, or 10,000. That's what I'm thinking about. We get thousands and thousands of downloads a month, and I just want to take the opportunity from time to time when I can. I never want to forget about all the wonderful people that take the time to download the podcast, listen to them, and also thank you, all of you out there while I'm thinking about this. Thank you for all the emails, the texts, the phone calls over the years, just feedback. You know, how much most of you appreciate the show, love the show, you learn something from it. A lot of you will call and ask me for referrals for real estate agents, for financial planners, for CPAs. I have a great network of people that I've worked with and I trust over the last 20 years. And if you're looking for someone, a great realtor, financial planner, CPA, builder, contractor, painter, anything really to do with real estate, we're well connected with a great network of people. And we have a lot of wonderful people that are in this business and are ready to help you. So obviously, most of you know that you've been following the show. My primary business is residential financing. If I could help you with financing on a purchase, refinance, maybe you just want to talk through whether you can get approved or not. Maybe you want to talk through if you're ready to buy a house. Maybe you're not, or maybe you are. I could help you do that. So just keep those things in mind. The benefit of doing this so long and understanding markets that I could try to pass this information on to you, the consumer, to help you make more wise decisions. And that's really what it's all about. Today we're talking about embracing the market, the changing markets instead of fearing them. Yes, embracing the markets instead of fearing them. And in the first segment, I talked a little bit about why I believe people fear markets. It's really no reason why they fear anything else. We become used to a normal way of life and a behavior and a pattern. And anytime that pattern changes, anytime that gets disrupted, we get fearful sometimes. When we get fearful, a lot of times what we'll do with major decisions, and I understand, I'm not saying it's right or wrong here, especially when it's a major decision, when we're doubtful or fearful, what do we typically do? We typically pull back and resist instead of move forward. Typically, when we're fearful or we're nervous or we're apprehensive, what do? We pull back or we resist and we decide not to make that decision. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. So please don't think that what I'm talking about is forcing you to make decisions when you don't think it's comfortable. No. What I'm suggesting and what I want to really get across in the show today is try to embrace and understand markets instead of be fearful of them. See, you could understand a market instead of being fearful, but it doesn't mean you have to buy or sell a home during that time period, but you could better understand it. And that's really my goal, is to better understand markets when they change, because there very well could be opportunities that you don't know about because you're so stuck in fear, and fear is locking you down. And what does fear do? People know that all of us have witnessed and feared and witnessed and felt this ourselves at one time in our life. What does it do? One of the things fear does to you is paralyzes you as well. And when you're paralyzed, that term, paralyzed, emotionally paralyzed, is what I'm talking about. You have a hard time making a decision because you're fearful. So these all play a dynamic in the marketplace. So what I'm trying to talk through today and just discuss a little bit is to get a different way of thinking. When a market changes and all of a sudden it changes, what I'd love to have you say is something like this. Wow, look at this. The market's changing. Let me figure out a little bit more what that means, if there's any opportunities that exist, because I want to learn more about it. That's what I'd love to hear you say. I'd love to hear when markets change, people think like this. Wow, look at the markets change. You see that? Take a look at that. I wonder what that means. I wonder if there's an opportunity. I wonder if I should hold. I wonder if I should sell. I wonder if I should buy. That's what I'd love to hear people talk about and discuss when markets change, instead of being fearful automatically and pulling back and not making a decision. The piece that I want to point out today, specific to fear, which I think that will come back and people will regret years down the road, is that I think people will come back and wish that they would have bought at a time like this instead of being fearful and taking the sideline instead. I really do. And I'm not talking about someone's going to regret it and, the rest of their life and be miserable about it. I'm just saying that when you look back, I'm going to say in the months of September, October, let's just call it the last quarter or last 3 or 4 months of 2018, I think people are going to regret that they didn't buy. And the reason why is that there's a lull right now, and there's a window of opportunity where it's more of a buyer's market. And I shared at other shows before, which are exciting to me. This is the part that the education piece that I love and that a lot of people don't understand. I want to try to deliver that as much as I can. I explained and I gave people examples of why you could get the same deal, if not a better deal, right now in a market like this than you did a year ago. It doesn't matter if the rates are up. I gave examples of what you could do when the rates are up. When the rates are up and it's a buyer's market, you could ask for credit and buy down that rate. You could get the same rate today that you got a year ago or someone got a year ago. I could help you do that. If I was working with you right now on financing a home, on a purchase, I would work with the real estate agent to help negotiate a credit to buy down your interest rate at the cost of someone else so that you could get the interest rates that are in the marketplace a year ago. And think about this. Now just stick with me here. Here's the exciting part. And there's data and statistics to prove this. I gave some examples last week on my podcast. In the market right now, if you're looking at the same house right now that the same person or even you were looking at a year ago, follow me here. Let's say you're looking at a house today that's listed for $1 million and it's been on the market for 30 days. Let's say you or someone else looked at that same house a year ago. It was listed for $1 million, and because of the market, it sold for 1.2. It was a 20% premium. Okay? Stick with me here. Today, fast forward 1 year. You're looking at that same house. It's listed for $1 million. There's no movement. 30 days on the market. No offers. And you go in and you offer $950 or $925. Guess what? Guess what? You just paid almost $300,000 less, $250,000 to $300,000 less for that same home a year later. So what if the interest rate's higher? Guess what? It all evens out. Let me tell you, if someone asks me, Joe, what would you rather have, a great interest rate or a great deal on a home? It'd be no question for me. It's a great deal on the home. Think about this. Would you rather paid $1.2 million for that home and brag about your interest rate? Listen to this. Great example. Would you rather be the person paying 1.2, so a 20% premium on a home, at a record low interest rate and brag about your interest rate? Or would you rather be the person that paid $250,000 less than that same home a year later and bragged about the value of the home when the interest rate was only a little higher? I could tell you what I'd rather be. I'd rather be the person bragging about what I paid for the house. Think about that. This is my point today about trying not to fear markets and understand them instead and embrace them. I think people are going to look back a year, 2 years from now or so and wish they would have, if they had the opportunity, and they did, and they decided to stay on the sidelines. I think people are going to regret that they didn't make a purchase if they were ready and available to do so, if it made sense, in the latter part of this year. I really do. And the reason why is I follow this. Every single day I study this stuff. And right now there's a window of opportunity. Why is that, Joe? Let me explain it to you real quickly. Huge seller's market for the last 3 or 4 years. Big run-up. Everybody knows that. Flattened out, leveling out, back to a normal market. Now it's more of a buyer's market. Homes are sitting. Prices are coming down. Here's the catch. For the people that think, I'm not going to buy now because I'm going to wait until it hits the bottom, don't make that mistake. I've seen people try to time it before. Don't make that mistake. You won't know what the bottom is. Some people will brag about what they do, and most of them are full of it. I'm telling you, anybody that brags about, I know the bottom of the market, run far away from them. Because most of the time it's a bunch of BS. They're just making themselves sound better and look better. We won't know, just like we don't know the bottom of a stock market or a stock. It's almost impossible to figure that out. It's a guesswork and it's luck if it happens. My point here is inventory, even though it's up in the Santa Clara County, and let's just look at specific numbers. I know there's people that download this podcast all over the United States and actually even internationally. So this won't apply to you. But in general, the markets within the Silicon Valley here, the inventory is very low a year or so for now. Now it's up. So let's say it's about 2,000 or so. I think it's about 2,000 or 2,100 now in the Santa Clara County with condominiums and single families, etc. And it was as low as 600. So someone might say, oh my God, that's 3 or 4 times. I'm going to back off. No, you shouldn't, because you know what? You know what an average market is? An average market's more like 35 to 4,000 homes on the market in that same county. So the inventory is still low. Here's what I think that could happen, especially after the holidays. I think the first and second quarter of 2019, we could get back into a seller's market, believe it or not, next year. I really think we can. I do. So, as I finish up today, the message I want to get across: when markets change, try to educate yourself. Listen to this podcast, listen to other podcasts, read. Try to stay away from the negativity. There's way too much negativity. It kills me with the newspapers, the online stuff, and I understand it. How do they market? How do they sell papers? How do they sell eyeballs? How do they sell it? Think about it. You got to be negative, right? Unfortunately, you have to be negative. I wish that wasn't the case. A lot of these people lead with negative news. San Jose home prices come crashing down. The market's due for another failure. Are we looking at another implosion? These are all negative things. Stay away from that. Educate yourself. Get on the side of positivity. Get on the side of people who think forward. Get on the side of people who will help you and be positive and educate you, so that when you do make these decisions, you have a better chance to succeed. That's what we're about here at Real Estate Radio Live. Nothing's perfect. We want to educate and inform you to give you a better chance to succeed when you make a real estate transaction. That's what we're here to do. So, if you're in the market or you're thinking about it, I would encourage you to rethink it and try to take advantage of this buyer's market right now. As always, if I could help you, again, maybe you want to run some numbers. Maybe you want to see what you get pre-approved for. Maybe you want to try to buy a house without selling your home. I could help you do that. I've done shows before. I've explained how I could do it. We do a cross-collateralization program. If you're listening to this podcast and you're fearful, like you don't want to buy a home because you think you're going to have to sell your home, you don't have to. You may not have to. And I could show you how to do that. So reach out. Let us know. We're here to help you. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks again for tuning in today. For more information, you could always go to RERL-1570.com. That's RERL-1570.com. Until next time, take care. Have a great afternoon.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.